Hi, Michelle.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
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 Hey, Derek. How are you? Haven't seen you in a while.
I'm good. How are you? I didn't even know I was
I'm
unmuted,
good.
so I'm glad I wasn't talking to myself.
That's what happens after a while.
Uh,
It's just-
I don't even make excuses for it anymore.
Why are we on live if we haven't really started?
I know it started at 5:54. We went live for some reason.
It's because we're no longer handling the Zoom part of the meeting for YouTube. So our communications division is handling it, and they go on 5 minutes early. They have to do sound check and everything, make sure that everything's flowing smoothly in case there are any hiccups so that they can work it out.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And they're the best.
They were in
Yeah.
on best
We have a great
behavior.
team.
Okay, we have to be just
One, two,
fine.
three.
Can't say
How many-
anything
How
untoward.
many do we have?
Hmm?
Do we have a quorum? Yes,
No,
Sam's.
we're missing Sam and Joy.
Sam's here.
Sam's
Sam's
just
here.
coming.
I'm just
Oh, there he is. There he is.
Wait. Well, we're just waiting on Borelli if he would ever get. Oh, hey.
But you said he wouldn't come. You said he wasn't coming, Jimmy.
Oh, I said, oh, I better log in. I'm sure Jimmy's having an aneurysm right now.
On YouTube. See it now. Jimmy Palmieri has aneurysm.
I'm like, he's not the chair anymore. He'll live.
Sam, you have to see the new French bulldog on my block. Your head would just spin. It's so cute. It's literally like an animated figure. It's not like a real dog.
Aww,
When
baby.
it's running down the street, it looks like a little cartoon.
Aww. It's such a dangerous street over there. I never go to Kings
Oh
Road.
my God. Tell me.
I know the people who live there. Wow.
Listen, it's a speedway. They put speed bumps up and people don't even care.
Nope. Nope. Hi, everybody. Figured we need a pretty sky in our background tonight for Valentine's.
Did you take that picture? Is that the picture you posted on Facebook?
A couple days ago, yeah.
It's nice.
Pretty lucky.
Yeah.
On the Holloway Hill, on the Holloway Incline.
Okay, Chair Meltzer, it's now 6 o'clock. You can go ahead and begin when you're ready.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone, and happy Valentine's Day to everyone. I'd like to read the land acknowledgement. The West Hollywood Human Services Commission acknowledges that the land on which we gather and that is currently known as the City of West Hollywood is the occupied unceded Seas territory of the Gabrielino Tongva and the Gabrielino Quiche peoples. And I call the meeting to order. Joyce, will you take the roll call, please?
Sure, Commissioner Borelli,
Present.
Commissioner Davis,
Present.
Commissioner Freiberg. Looks like she's absent. Commissioner Palmieri,
Yes.
Vice Chair Darvish,
Present.
and Chair Meltzer.
Present.
You have a quorum.
Derek, would you lead us, please? Thank you.
Sure. I'm going to lead the Pledge of Allegiance. Place your
Uh-huh.
right hand over your heart. And repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
Joyce?
Commissioner Borelli,
Aye.
Commissioner Davis,
Oh, yes.
Commissioner Freiberg, I see that she has joined. Commissioner Freiberg? Okay, Commissioner Palmieri,
Yes.
Vice Chair Darvish,
Aye.
and Chair Meltzer.
Yes, thank you. And a motion
Commissioner-
to approve the minutes, please.
So moved.
Oh, I'm sorry, I have a correction. I'm very sorry. I couldn't find the page. On number 8, items from commissioners, the New Year's Eve event was called not Thrive. It was, now I forgot to write it down, Vibes. It was called Vibes, VIBEZ. That's the only
Okay.
correction I have.
Okay,
So I move with correction.
with correct. Second?
Second.
Okay,
Okay.
Commissioner Burley,
Aye.
Commissioner Davis,
Aye.
Commissioner Freiberg, Commissioner Palmieri,
Yes.
Vice Chair Darvish,
Abstain.
Chair Meltzer.
Yes,
Motion passes.
great. Are there any public comments?
We do not have any public comments that have signed up in advance, but I'd like to open the floor now. If anyone would like to speak for a public comment, now is the time. Please use the raised hand feature and you will be called upon in order that you're seen. So if anyone would like to speak, please raise your hand now. And it looks like we don't have anyone that would
Okay,
like to
thank
speak at
you.
this time.
Thanks. So we have the consent calendar. Does anybody have any issues with that? No? Okay, great. Unfinished business, Human Services Commission 2023 work plan. And Leslie is going to lead us through that. Please.
Yes, good evening, Chair Meltzer and Vice Chair Darvish and Human Services Commissioners. It's nice to see you all this evening. This item is a carryover from last month. You may recall that we looked at the work plan from last year, the 2022 work plan that was approved last year for the commission and by the commission, and then we added some new thoughts, took some things away that were specific to last year being an RFP year, and have now presented a draft work plan based on the conversation we had at the January Human Services Commission meeting. The purpose of putting this on the agenda tonight is to approve that draft plan. With that approval, staff will get busy putting together the agendas as we approach them for the coming year. So just wanted to introduce it to remind you that we decided to make this a 2-part item so that you could consider the draft as with the input provided.
Does anybody have any comments, changes, additions?
I have
Commissioner Borelli?
sorry.
I was gonna say, I think of this as a living document, and I would be comfortable moving it forward and approving it, and maybe we check in 3 or 4 months just to see how things are progressing. If nobody has any other discussion, I'll move that we approve as is.
Second? Commissioner
I'll s-
Davis?
I'll
What do you have?
second it. Was so nicely stated, I'll second it.
Yes, right. Joyce? Could you take a roll call, please?
Commissioner Burley,
Aye.
Commissioner Davis,
Aye.
Commissioner Freiberg, Commissioner Palmieri,
Yes.
Vice Chair Darvish,
Yes.
Chair Meltzer.
Yes, thank you.
Motion passes.
Now we go to new business, healthcare and action presentation, and Derek is going to start us off here, please.
Yes, good evening, commissioners. So Healthcare in Action is a new city service, as you all know, that provides mobile medical crisis response for unhoused community members within the city limits. The program offers a full range of medical, mental health, and substance use treatment services, as well as linkage to shelter, housing, and other services. The program is still in its infancy with the city, and we're continuing to improve upon it. But it's really been a success so far. It's not a traditional social service that we're used to, where we give community members a number and an address and encourage them to follow up. This service comes directly to the individual within an hour or less. It's referral only right now, and the referrals are coming from sheriffs, fire, block by block, city staff, library staff, and community partners. We still have a number, well, we have a number for to request a service consult, but residents are still encouraged to call the homeless concern line whenever they see somebody who needs help. We often get multiple calls about the same person, so city staff will call Healthcare in Action whenever a call comes through that sounds like a good fit for them. The program was really ready to start on day one, which is rare, but they were. But in all transparency, it's still a slow rollout in trying to get every single community partner and city department comfortable with using the service. We provided an in-service training for social service providers really at the very beginning in October. In November, there was a training with library staff, and we just completed the first block by block training on February 8th. And then we have another one scheduled for tomorrow. In terms of data, the program, as I mentioned before, had a slow rollout, so we experienced a low call volume from community partners in Q1, but we're starting to make those inroads with our partners by just kind of having collaborative meetings and trainings and in-service presentations. So the goal was 365 calls per triage, 365 triage calls, but we only received about 74. But please keep in mind that this is the very first quarter, and we're going to see significant improvements in Q2 when we come back for the mid-year. The actual care side of the contract is right on target. They've enrolled 33 unhoused community members into ongoing care, which is at 90% of their goal. In Q1, they provided 296 patient interactions, conducted 38 assessments on the street, and placed 3 community members into transitional and permanent housing. I conducted an audit of the program on January 26, and I have no findings to report to the commission. I reviewed the data, and everything I reviewed was accurately reported to the city. So I'm going to hand this over to Michael Hochman, who is the CEO of Healthcare in Action, to give the presentation to the commission.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Commission. And let me just give a big thank you to Derek, who's been an amazing partner, and he's coordinated so many meetings with us, with city officials. So we really appreciate it. We're so honored to have gotten this contract. So I have a couple slides to share, and we have a short agenda, about 10 minutes. I brought a couple of the team members so you can get a sense of what it's like, the work that we're doing out on the field. Let me just get this set up here. So I'll give you a little bit of an overview about our program. And then Emma Tassini and Juliana Diggs from our team, from our West Hollywood team, will just spend a little bit telling you about what it's like for them on a day-to-day basis. And if we have time at the end, we have a very brief 2-minute video to share showing our services in the field. Just as a background, we're a relatively new program. We've been around for about 18 months. We're a nonprofit medical group exclusively dedicated to caring for patients experiencing homelessness. Our parent company is Scan Health Plan. You may be familiar with. They're a nonprofit plan in California, and they gave us a grant to start our program through their community benefit. We're supported by a combination of grants and service contracts. I'm happy to say that about 70% of our revenue now comes from service contracts, mainly health plans, but we have a couple municipal contracts, this being the biggest and most significant of them. We also have a couple hospital contracts, and then we get grants to fill in some of the gaps. We were able to launch 6 street teams in 2022, the West Hollywood one being one of them. And we have 5 more planned for 2023, mostly in Southern California, except we do have one team in San Mateo County. And actually they were in a lot of ways influenced by you all. They hired us to work in a homeless navigation center for them up in the Bay Area. We enrolled a total of 800 patients last year with a target of 3,000. And as Derek said, a growing volume in West Hollywood. Over 100 patients we were able to start on psychiatric or addiction medications, and over 50 in some sort of supportive housing situation, including several from West Hollywood that Derek mentioned in the first quarter. We're different from many other medical providers. We do not have a brick and mortar office. We do what's called street medicine. We bring care through mobile vans out to patients in encampments and shelters and transitional housing, and we follow our patients in the hospital. There's a handful of other street medicine providers, including a couple that do work in West Hollywood. And I should mention UCLA has started doing a pop-up street medicine service in the city. And I think we've been working really well together. They do more of the sporadic urgent care stuff that comes up, and we will visit patients for urgent crisis response when we get calls, and then follow them longitudinally, whereas they set up stations at set times. These are the folks who are out on the streets. We have a medical provider, a nurse, social worker, and peer navigators. We have a couple of those staff here today. I'm one of the physicians who oversees the program. We also have psychiatrists who guide the care, since there is a lot of substance use, addiction, and mental health illness. This is just a slide that we had from one of our partners, Cedars-Sinai in West Hollywood, that showed a reduction in their patients getting readmitted to the hospital after we consult on them. So the baseline readmission rate was about 65% for patients within 30 days of being discharged. That increased to 33% in the 30-day period after we took care of them. So we don't eliminate those ER and hospital visits, but we can hopefully reduce them significantly. So I really think our West Hollywood team is in a lot of ways the most exciting and interesting program we have. In most of the other areas we're contracted directly with health plans and hospitals. That's great. But what's been really fun about working with you all is that we're really trying to make a dent in your community's homelessness challenges, both getting people the care they need in a humane way, but also working in the background to get them into housing. And, Derek mentioned the 3 patients who we were able to get into housing the first 3 months. And we really hope that those numbers are going to pick up as we engage with the patients. So we do have a dedicated team to the city. We're there 7 days a week from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. available for calls. We do crisis response. So we get calls from community agencies in the city, and Derek is slowly distributing our number to a broader array of providers. We're trying to get that call volume up to the target level. In West Hollywood, our team consists of a medical provider, a medical assistant, a peer navigator. Juliana Diggs, who's our dedicated peer navigator for West Hollywood, is here today. We have a coordinator who deals with the logistics, and then Emma Tassini is our therapist for West Hollywood. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen, turn it over to Juliana and Emma, and if we have a couple minutes at the end, we have a brief video to show. So I'm not sure, Emma or Juliana, who's going first.
I'm happy to go first really quickly. So, sorry, Juliana.
No, go for it.
So as Michael said, my name is Emma. I'm the therapist on the team. My official title is mental health specialist. And just some ways that I work with the team in West Hollywood is as going out as another person during those crisis response calls, because oftentimes there are mental health components to it. So being able to de-escalate those mental health components quickly, assess what's going on in terms of mental health, and connect. And then in terms of just that longitudinal care, I think that's where I really play a role in our West Hollywood program, because I meet with folks who are interested in psychotherapy, some weekly, some every other week, and conduct psychotherapy. And I think something that's been very cool about working in like the ecosystem of West Hollywood has been I've done therapy sessions in the West Hollywood Library before and rented, a conference room there and done that. And this is where the people we work with who live in West Hollywood, who are unsheltered, that's where their community is, and they love being able to feel like a community and going to the library to meet their therapist, or us going to a park to do therapy together. So I think that's made our work more sustainable and made it so that it's not just the urgent crisis response, but we're continuing care, which has been really great. One of my clients that I see right now every other week for therapy was originally referred to us for homicidal ideation and some mental health symptoms. And I've just seen like a lot of progress for them. And we've been able to connect them with other community organizations in West Hollywood as well. So it's been pretty successful, I think.
Hi, I'm Juliana. I'm a peer navigator for the West Hollywood team. And we all work together as a team, and I provide more like social service navigation for our clients, just helping them navigate through the housing system and helping them get their like California ID, social security card, proof of income, just the things we need for getting them in long-term housing. And also I work on like a lot of motivational interviewing with them, trying to engage like what types of goals they have and trying to help them navigate through where they want to go next and what their next step is. It's been a really positive experience working in West Hollywood. It's so like we've constantly run into a lot of the same people, and it's really good to have that to know the people that we're meeting and to know their friends and to really be in the community has been a huge like game changer for us. And like the client that Emma was speaking of that we're working with, he was referred to us. He had like a lot of homicidal ideations, and he was just really struggling with housing. We were able to get him in a shelter in South Los Angeles, but he still comes back to West Hollywood very often because that's his community, and he loves to be there most of the time. But he sleeps now at a shelter in South LA, and he's gonna be getting matched to housing pretty soon in like Pico Union area.
So Derek, we have a 2-minute video. Should I show that now or do questions first?
Oh, I can show the video.
Yeah, show it now.
Okay.
Definitely.
So this was actually made by USA Today. They reached out to us. They had heard about the work we were doing, and we thought the West Hollywood team would be a great one to profile. So this is a clip from West Hollywood.
Every morning, Jessica Jimenez and Kat Persakian head out on the streets of Los Angeles. They visit homeless encampments and offer medical care. They're part of a street medicine team called Healthcare in Action.
Good morning, street medicine. Is anybody interested in any medical care?
This particular encampment, on the border of Hollywood and West Hollywood, is home to about 20 homeless people, most of whom are LGBTQ. Homeless populations are at high risk for communicable diseases like hepatitis and HIV. It's one of the reasons why medical care is so important on the streets.
So do you guys want to come to the van, or do you want to do it in here? Can you do it here? Yeah, I can bring it.
Here, there's been several reported cases of monkeypox, so the team is giving out vaccines.
Yeah, it shouldn't hurt that much. You're done.
While the team focuses on medical care, they also offer counseling for addiction and mental health. And they have a support team to help patients get housing.
Because we're out here so often, we've developed a rapport with a lot of these individuals. You know, they know that we are friend and not foe. And so they're a lot more willing to engage us. You always look beautiful, by the way.
We ask if we can interview one of the patients, but most are reluctant to go on camera.
I'm sorry. No, you're out here doing it. You're out here doing the best you can. And I can see it, okay?
28-year-old Kayla agrees to talk to us. In part, she says, because she's grateful for the medical care she gets from this team.
These people come and make sure we have what we need. Like, I don't know, I probably wouldn't be doing as well as I am right now if they didn't come into my life.
Kayla says she really needs health care. She is HIV positive and recently found out she has monkeypox.
Being homeless, to get to Cedar Sinai and to get to my primary doctor is hard. It's not easy. No one helps. No one helps. Like,
Anyway, it's a little bit of a longer clip, and I can send it to Derek for anyone who wants to watch the whole thing. But at least that was a sense of what it's like to be in the field. So we'd be happy to take any questions you have.
So any questions or comments, commissioners? Vice Chair Darvish?
Sorry, had a hard time getting myself off mute. Great job and great service, really needed. Myself in healthcare all my life and managed a chain of hospitals, and I can see the service on the street for unhoused populations that go to the ERs and to overly populated ERs for simple things that they could get from a service like yours. So great job, and thank you for serving the community. I was wondering about your stats for, I think it was 2022, you showed some stats. Is that, I guess it depends on the size of the city that you serve and size of the population. Would you have a goal to kind of reach out and serve so many every year? Or
this year, our goal for our entire program is to serve 3,000 patients, up from 800 last year, because we are growing. We're getting more contracts. The city of West Hollywood is one of those key ones that we really hope to grow this year. And I think, Derek, off the top of my head, I think we're aiming for 150 within the city of West Hollywood by the end of the year to enroll, and more than that we would serve, but 150 that we would enroll in the city.
Yeah, so it's the second question. My last question is the level. I know that you have team members that are addressing behavioral health and maybe LPN or LVN level. Do you have no RNs or I'm sure no nurse practitioner? That's not very feasible, but I notice you do wound care on the side and some things that could be done at home or on the streets. So that's great. But yeah,
great question. We actually do have a physician assistant who goes out in the field. He didn't happen to be pictured in that video, but he goes out there, and the physicians, I do as well from time to time. Jessica Jimenez, the nurse in that picture, actually is a registered nurse. Oh, wow. She is not dedicated to so we have the medical assistant who does most of the day-to-day stuff. And then if there's a wound care issue that requires a licensed nurse, then she comes out and does it. But we kind of use her as needed wherever she needs to do for the wound care.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
Commissioner Palmieri?
Thank you, Chair Meltzer. Healthcare and action. This is something that I'm really excited about and interested in. I do have several questions for you, and hopefully at this stage we can get some answers. Maybe not. I don't. It's a new thing, and I know it. So you're talking about street med and wound care. So this is real time stuff. You're going to them within an hour. Did I understand that? Within an hour to 2 hours. So we're talking real time treatment, correct?
That's right. Our target is within an hour. And I think for the most part, we hit that goal when we get a call that we go out in the field, because when you need the care, you typically can't wait.
And in addition to that, Commissioner Palmieri, I just wanted to add to that too. In addition to wound care, there's more advanced levels of care too, such as HIV care, reinitiating ART and such. So, so there's more to the medical side.
Yeah. I wrote down so many things and now I have to sift through them. But so I always am curious, how many FaceTime sessions must you have with someone before they respond to you or before they even allow you into their orbit? And I know sometimes it's extensive and we understand that.
I could maybe answer this one if that's okay.
Please.
Yeah, it's so different case by case. Sometimes you'll meet someone and the first time you meet them, they really want the services immediately. And then I can think of a couple other examples where our team had been meeting with someone for a really long time. And it was just one day where we met with them. They were endorsing that they had a lot of auditory and visual hallucinations. And this had been after maybe 2 or 3 months of already working with this individual. That it might be shorter than that, but it had been a while, and we just had one conversation that day where they decided that they really wanted to try to go on an antipsychotic, and we've seen since then they've been matched with housing, a lot of really positive things for them in terms of getting the right medication. And Julianne and I were just in a parking lot the other day meeting with someone. They stay up in a parking lot, and basically right now they're not ready for like the mental health services yet, or the health services, but we brought them hygiene things. They needed different types of smaller care right now. And so maybe there's someone we'll engage with until they're ready. So it's really dependent case by case, but we understand that and we just continue with the relationship building. That's one of the most important things for us.
Sure. In my experience, it's been where you start to develop your relationship with them, whether it's through food or whether it's through medical assistance, basic medical assistance, and then you can proceed from there. And mental health services usually comes towards the end because they've developed a trust in you. And I love what you're doing here. It's really exciting to me. I do want to ask, I saw that someone was getting a vax for monkeypox, but do you supply all of the vax? Do you have to have a vax specialist, or can an RN deliver the vax, whatever they are?
Yeah, right now we're doing monkeypox, COVID, and flu. Those are the 3 that we're doing. In the future, we may do more. We have it on the van. You know, I think in that particular case, it was because monkeypox was really active at the moment, so we were really pushing it. Flu season's sort of towards the tail end at this point. So it's something that's available. It's not something, you know, that we, like you said, sometimes that's the 3rd or 4th visit before someone's open to getting a vaccine with us.
And then you had mentioned that you do have certain medications, and I'm assuming, and correct me if I'm wrong, please. I'm assuming that some types of medicines that you would be able to distribute would be to the tune of antibiotic or something non-controlled that can help them with something that's happening immediately. But I also wanted to ask a question about, if you do have a transfer person, can you supply the hormone treatments that they may need? And I want to also piggyback on this with HIV prevention. Do you provide PrEP, or do you send them to places that provide PrEP? I'm sure not a lot of folks are requesting PEP, so I'll just want to stick with the PrEP right now.
Great questions. And Emma, I may have you answer the gender affirming, the hormone therapy, but let me answer. We have on our dispensary, basic antibiotics, pain medications. We are allowed to have Schedule 3 narcotics, so things like tramadol for pain we can give, Suboxone we can store for addiction, so we can start someone on that. We also have antipsychotics, so we have Abilify for schizophrenia or psychosis, including injectable version of that, so we can give them an injectable version. When we need something that's not available on our supply, we will send it to a nearby pharmacy and typically pick it up for the patient and bring it back to them, at least to get them started on it, and then they'll go from there. In terms of PEP's a good question. I'm not post-exposure prophylaxis. There may be 1 or 2 situations where we've given that, but we do have a number of patients on PrEP, and we follow them, we initiate them, we continue it on them. typically we'll get called because someone's, has an acute issue. We'll go out in the street and we'll talk about the prep in visit 3 or 4. Again, like you said, it's the trust building. The other thing I'm really excited about, and I think Medi-Cal is going to start covering it too soon, is long-acting injectable versions of the HIV medications, including PrEP. So I think we're going to try and get using those as soon as Medi-Cal starts covering them. Similarly, we do have a couple patients on hormone therapy. I will acknowledge we are not experts on that, but we have a number of patients that, with guidance from a treating clinician, we continue that. Emma, do you want to say a couple words about that?
I'll just say I've been lucky that we've had a lot of training around the hormone therapy as well. I don't prescribe, so I'm not in that part, but just like the mental and emotional support of it has been really great. Especially the mental and emotional support of maybe not having access for a long time and finally, again, having that access. But our physician's assistants we have had training in it, and yes, it's something that we do help people with. And I'll just also say the long-lasting injectables are huge for the community we work with, because it's very hard to keep track and keep medication will often get stolen, and it's just huge that we can come and be where they are, and they can have their therapist and a nurse there at the same time, and they have a very big knowledge of like what the medication is already, and they're able to be stabilized, especially our antipsychotic medication. That's been huge for a lot of the folks who need that.
Great. I'm really impressed with this. Congratulations on your contract, of course, and I look forward to our future with you. Thank you.
Any other, Commissioner Borelli?
Thank you. And this has been a great presentation, and we love the video. I'll bluntly state that I had a lot of concerns about this as we walked through the process with the RFP process. And brand new program, a pretty sizable chunk of our budget. Having the scan backing really helped bluntly sell me on it. And having the enthusiasm of staff who can sometimes be a little skeptical and want to start with more piloty type programs helped sell me on it. So seeing this and meeting you all in real time and seeing the quality of care that's on the street as well is definitely a plus. And I think that really bodes well, and we appreciate it. I wrote some questions down early this morning. It seems like probably Derek answered them. Your readiness, you were ready to go. You're not having issues with staffing. I know throughout the medical industry, they're having a number of people in the hospital recently, a lot of issues with staffing. You're not facing those issues right now?
That's the thing that, I think we all worry the most about is, are we going to get good providers? We are, knock on wood, have not had trouble in West Hollywood. I think in some ways, street medicine, homeless healthcare, it's a very rewarding field. And I think people are fed up working with these big health systems, to be honest. And so I think those groups are in some ways having a harder time than I think people really like their work. But I hope that continues. Unfortunately, we have not had major issues in that area so far.
Great. And you don't have to, sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, I feel like we're lucky because if you choose to do street medicine, you're passionate about it. And so at least I feel like we're on a really awesome, passionate team. And I think that helps with some of the fatigue that other healthcare industries are experiencing right now.
Yeah, and thank you. And relatedly, I hope that you all either have some programs in place or will incorporate some programs that make sure that the street teams are getting their, not adding to their trauma or other challenges.
Yep. We take that very, very seriously. Yeah.
Great. One concern I had about the numbers in particular was, how does it work with the handoffs? If you're working with, say, Step Up, which you mentioned in the report, Step Up on Second, are they tracking the client and you're tracking the client as well? How does that work?
I may ask Derek, if we see the patient, if it's a referral from Step Up, we would count that as a call. And if we enroll the patient and see them longitudinally, we would count that. I guess the question, Derek, is would Step Up also count that for their contract?
Well, it depends on what the service is. I mean, it's not, definitely not a duplication of service. If Step Up were to help with the housing navigation and Healthcare in Action does the medical and mental health piece. So, but this is a good question for us to kind of try to figure out as we move through the contract year. How do we not duplicate services? For instance, and sometimes that is kind of like having these meetings with the providers together. We just did this with Trans-Latina Coalition just to make sure that folks that are getting trans folks who are getting care from Healthcare in Action can also access the drop-in center that Trans-Latina has for food, for clothing, and for other social support. So we try to strive to have those types of collaborations instead of kind of duplicating and doing the same things.
Right. And relatedly, everybody needs those numbers. So I just want to make sure that the organizations aren't, not necessarily working with Healthcare in Action because they're concerned about their numbers. I'm sure you guys are working on that. You're all very good about that. The other, Commissioner Palmieri, you had some of my questions as well about PrEP and so forth. And it was good to see that monkeypox was happening when that was so prevalent in the community. And just the overnight hours where it's an answering service and it depends on the level of care needed as to whether you'll engage. Is that correct?
We do in person 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. We do have an answering service 24/7. So we have gotten calls outside of those windows and we're not able to send somebody out in person at that time. But what we've done is we've taken a message and we've tried to follow up with the patient the next day with differing levels of success. Block by Block's been a great partner there. They work really late and they've been calling us sometimes. We say, oh, we'll do our best to find them the next day.
Right. This is awesome. Really, I was excited and hopeful, and it sounds like it's, Derek said, off to a little bit of a slow rollout, but I think definitely going in the right direction and looking to be what we want to be and help, get as many people in service as possible. Just hearing the word homicide, yeah, keep up the great work. Thank you very much.
Did I see your hand up, Commissioner Freiberg? Do you still have questions? Oh, I'm sorry.
She can go.
Commissioner Davis. Commissioner Davis first. Okay.
I have a very easy question. You kind of danced around it, but medications. I've been HIV positive for a long time. I take medications, and I know that there are times when I don't remember whether I took them or not, or how, you set things up to help you. But I'm concerned about, like, how many pills do you give a person who's unhoused? Do they get a week's worth? Do they get the whole month's worth? How does that work? And then who's responsible for making certain that they keep them? Like, do they lose? I understand there can be loss. That makes sense. But is there anyone who's making sure and checking on them? Because, like, if I have 3 I have to take, so I'm old fashioned and I still take 3 meds. So if one of them's gone, the other 2 aren't working properly, that kind of thing. So I'm concerned about how you do the medication part of it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry, Mike. I was just going to say one part of it is the behavioral health aspect. So we also have an occupational therapist that I work with sometimes with both of our with clients together to kind of find solutions and ways to help them to remember to take the medication. And then we do check on people. They're on our schedules weekly, typically. So folks who have medication, we are checking on that and stuff. But I've worked with someone before where the fix just was that they needed a pill box. And then another person where the pill box wasn't enough. We needed to put tape over each one every time so they could see that the tape was broken on the days they took it. So Mike, you can add as well, but I think like the behavioral health is something that we use to support that. Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, but you're giving an entire prescription at a time then. It's not like 1 week's worth, or you need to do this on a daily basis, or a week's worth, or a month's worth. I'm interested in knowing how many pills am I getting. Like if I needed meds and I need to take them once a day, so I need 30 a month. So is the person getting the 30 all at once? Or
Great question. So there was a important change in the guidelines about a year ago for HIV treatment. It used to be that if someone fell off their medications, the recommendation was to get them retested, check the virus genotype and the CD4 count, and then make sure that you're using the right medications. About a year ago, what they decided, and I think it makes sense, is if you have someone in that situation, just get them restarted on what they were on previously and then have them follow up. So that's what we do. We follow that new guidance. We give them a 1-month supply. No one on our team yet is HIV certified. We are working on getting somebody certified in that. So we've been working very closely with Saban and some of the other HIV providers in the network. So we give them a 1-month supply, get them back to Saban or wherever they're getting their HIV care, get the testing done. And then sometimes the Saban providers will give a 3-month supply at that point once everything's been tested, but we do 1 month at a time.
1 month at a time. Okay. Thank
And
you.
I'll say the one other thing, I wish I could tell you we don't have compliance issues. Of course, we have compliance issues. We've gone to the tents and someone is supposed to be on their medications and you see all their pills there sitting there. And so, but I think that that's the advantage, is that we can really go out there and see when someone's not taking their medications. And we try as much as possible to do the one pill, the Truvada, single pill. And I'm really excited about the injectables because that's going to make things a whole lot better.
That would change a lot.
Yeah.
I would have changed a lot 30 years ago. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Joy.
Commissioner Freiberg.
Hello, thank you so much for that presentation. I just feel like we're so lucky to have you, especially after seeing that video. It really, gives us a great idea of what you guys do, and you could tell that you guys are really passionate about what you do, and you really, really want to help people. I mean, it just comes through. I just had a few questions. I had read that you give cell phones out. So how does that work? Because it says for communication and tracking. I mean, is that really, really helpful? I've never heard of that before.
Juliana, do you want to talk about that since you're the one who gives out? Oh, we might have lost Juliana here.
Oh yeah,
there she is. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. So we have actually like a cube tracking device that we give out as well, and this helps. They keep it with them. It's about like this small, and it allows us to see where they are, and we can just meet them wherever they are. And also we do a cell phone for people that are able to hold on to a phone, and then we can actually communicate more regularly with them and like make sure that they have all their just like have active communication and help remind them to do certain things that they need to remember to do, like take their medication, and just seeing what needs are coming up for them. They might express like new ongoing medical concerns or need help navigating a new like traumatic situation. And the cell phones are very handy in that circumstance, and also for me to help like get them to kind of work towards their goals that they need to do to accomplish their next steps towards housing, like going to the Department of Motor Vehicles to get a California ID, and just kind of walking them through those different steps. But it has been really helpful for maintaining communication with our clients.
And I'll say we've had an important lesson learned on there. We started giving everybody cell phones in the beginning. We had a lot of lost, stolen, and destroyed cell phones. So we've shifted to the approach Juliana described, where they give a GPS tracker so we can find them. And if that goes well, then we will give them a cell phone if they don't have one.
Is this something that's expensive? How much is a tracker?
The trackers are $20. So that's relatively inexpensive. Not a big deal if they lose it. We've got a deal from T-Mobile where we have $100 cell phones, and the plan is $15 a month.
Okay. And could you describe a little bit about how you work with the Sheriff's Met team and block by block, what your relationship has been and how it's working out?
They've been great partners, both block by block. The ambassadors frequently encounter unhoused patients, and they'll call us directly. We were a little slow getting off. They didn't know who we were in the beginning, but Derek was really helpful and persistent in getting us in front of them. And we're starting to get more and more calls from them. So that's been going well. Emma, do you want to speak a little bit about, we also have a very good relationship with the sheriff, the West Hollywood Sheriff Department.
I think that's kind of my, I'm just trying to understand how it works since you're both kind of doing the same thing. So how does that?
So just to also answer the West Hollywood Sheriff's Department, they'll call us, let's say, so recently, like last week, they called us for someone that was not actively like suicidal. They weren't homicidal. They just went to the sheriff's department and they expressed that they really needed help and they wanted to go to the hospital, but there's really no reason for them to be going to the hospital. And they did need to kind of like talk to someone and kind of figure some stuff out. And we were able to educate them on certain stuff, but the sheriff's department just didn't have the capacity to be able to educate them on that. They just like would remain in the station and kept on asking to go to the hospital, even though there was no sense to them going to the hospital in that moment. So we were able to like connect them to going into a place where they can get a substance use disorder treatment, like a residential treatment.
So I think as Juliana said, one of it's a capacity thing. Sometimes we're just an extra set of hands for those similar calls. And I also think that there's a little bit of triage that goes on. I sort of joke with that. They joke with us. We joke with them. They sort of do the good cop, bad cop thing where they're the bad cop and we're the good cop. So if there's someone who's, maybe sleeping where they're not supposed to or intoxicated in the streets, the sheriff will give us a chance to go in and see if we can sort of connect with them, engage with the patient, get them to a safer spot, moving in the right direction. If things don't go well, then the sheriff's there as kind of a backup. So that's another way that we've been working together.
Okay, good. I think that is it. Thank you so much for your presentation.
Are there any other questions or comments? I want to thank you. This has been really extraordinary. And what I am seeing here is so much excitement. I mean, it's really, the questions are great. The excitement, it's wonderful. I just have one question. You mentioned training people and you mentioned the library, training providers. What kind of training would you give folks in the library?
We do in-services so they know who we are, what services we provide, and how to get in touch with us through our answering service. So really it's just a meet and greet that we're this new program. If you have someone that you see, a resident of West Hollywood who's outside the library and they look like they could use medical attention, then the library staff will call us directly.
Okay. I just wasn't sure about how that worked. So if there are no other questions, thank you again. And we look forward to hearing from you again. This is very exciting. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
So, okay, that was great. That was just really wonderful. So new business utility assistance programs for low-income community members. Leslie, do you want to start this off and introduce us to Michelle?
Yes, I'd be happy to. Thank you, Chair Meltzer. So this item, not on your work plan, that's a good example of the living document notion, but we thought we would bring it to you because it was a direction to us by the City Council. I'm sure all of you are well aware that utility rates increased significantly in the last couple of billing cycles, and our City Council had some concerns about our low-income community members who are already spread so thin, and they had requested that the social services staff look into some utility relief programs, utility assistance programs. And I want to introduce you to Michelle Lieberman. Michelle is a city employee who had been with our Recreation Services Division for a number of years and was recently hired as a floater. You may not be aware, but the city has a couple of positions dedicated to just people who kind of go where the need is greatest throughout City Hall. And luckily, we snatched her up for this period of time while we are struggling with our staffing. And so we have Michelle with us through at minimum, hopefully longer, but at minimum through June. And I was happy to be able to give the research of this project to Michelle. And we thought the information that she put together was important. She shared it with council, and we'd like to share it with you this evening. So I'd like to introduce you to Michelle Lieberman.
Thank you, Leslie, and hello, everyone. Thank you guys so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. So like Leslie mentioned, these past few billing cycles, prices have gone up and they're continuing to rise. So we have a few contracted social services agencies that provide financial relief. So we have Alliance for Housing and Healing. While they do have some criteria, they do provide financial support to persons living with HIV or AIDS, and that can go towards rent, utilities, and pharmaceuticals. So they can utilize it towards their electricity bills or water bills. There's also the Trans-Latina Coalition. They provide financial support for transgender, gender nonconforming, and intersex individuals as well. So again, it's financial relief that they can use towards rent or utilities. So that's two agencies that we currently have contracts with that provide financial support. On a little bigger level, going to county level, there's a low-income home energy assistance program. They offer income eligible residents a credit to their utility bill, whether that's to bring it current, bring it down, whatever it may be, provide that financial assistance. And it's for anybody that has energy through Department of Water and Power, through Edison, or the Southern California Gas Company. So you do not need to be just with LADWP. They have broader services. There's also a low-income water assistance program that assists eligible households in paying their water and wastewater bills. And that one is a one-time payment assistant on your water bill up to $2,000. And they have the same criteria as the low-income home energy assistance program. You need to be low income to qualify. Aside from financial support, there's also an energy savings assistance program. While this one doesn't provide financial relief, they do provide consumers cost energy efficient appliances. So if they qualify, they can help you with energy efficient refrigerator, washer, dryer, things that will help alleviate those bills in the longer run. So those are a few additional programs. Hopefully with those and the contracted services that we already currently have, hopefully people can get some very much needed relief and support with those rising bills. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Welcome. Are there any questions, comments for Michelle? Vice Chair Darvish?
Yeah, great research, Michelle, and great to, I think I've met you before, but great to meet you again.
Thank you.
I know this is about utility. I was wondering about just phone bill too for people, low-income people or older adults or disabled. It may not be related to this topic since I don't think phone line or cell phone or internet would qualify for that. But is that something that as a city we're looking at to help people that cannot afford, especially older adults and disabled population that need to stay connected during disaster, kind of situation, or now we have earthquake in Syria and Iraq and Turkey that is really overwhelming. I was thinking in that line, in my mind, that kind of ties into this. Is that something?
I can speak to that a little bit. That is not the type of utility that we're talking about here, as you stated. We're really talking about gas, electricity, and water. Some of our social service providers who work with older adults and people living with disabilities know of and can refer people to low-cost plans in that regard.
Thank you. Great job.
Anybody else? Commissioner Palmieri?
Thank you, Michelle. I'm just looking at SCE's website because I knew that there were two programs on there. I couldn't remember their names. One is called Ferret and one is called CARE. Have you researched that at all? These are very simple programs for folks that are income eligible to get like a 33% deduction of their complete bill if they fall into the financial category. And CARE, I think, gives them like 20%, but all the information is right there. And it's a fairly well-known program, or two fairly well-known programs. And I think if someone is way behind on their bill, that actually SCE will actually contact them and say, hey, do you qualify? But have you researched those?
We haven't. That's something that we will be looking forward to the future. We try to focus on more broader audience that kind of serves not only Southern California Edison consumers, but also people that have Department of Water and Power and other companies. So, but that's a great resource, and thank you for sharing that. We will definitely look into that.
Yeah, please do. I have a feeling a lot of people are eligible for that, and it's a huge discount, 33%.
That is, yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone else? No, thank you, Michelle. Thanks again.
You.
Good to meet you.
Likewise, thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. One thing you should know about Michelle that is a great benefit to us, not only her delightful and upbeat personality, but she's also Russian speaking, and that helps us tremendously. And particularly when we lost Tatiana, when Tatiana retired last year, that was a big loss, that language capability. So we are overjoyed to have her.
Nina, Leslie,
great.
Tatiana's still with the city.
Oh, I'm sorry. I said Tatiana. Nina and Tatiana are sisters. I meant Nina. Tatiana, thank you, Tatiana. Still with the city. Nina retired back in October.
Thanks. So we move on to items from the staff.
Okay, I have a few that I just want to quickly share with you. On the topic of the staffing situation with our division, I want to let you know that Katie Egan has given notice. I know that was a hard one for all of us. She and her new.
Where's everybody going, Leslie?
What's that?
Where's everybody going?
Where's everybody going? Yeah, it's a most unusual situation for us. I have said this time and time again to our staff. We have people who have spent their entire careers in our division. We are in this very unusual situation. I think unprecedented is overused, but completely accurate in this.
Leslie, where is Katie going?
Katie, I think maybe you don't know, but Katie recently got married, and she and her husband are moving back to her home state of Oregon.
Oh, wow.
It was a decision that, nobody could argue with. Of course, we understand it, but it is a big loss to our team. She was and remains a fantastic asset and really strong program administrator. But as I like to say in the theater, there's something called a booyah moment, and it goes like this. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight's performance, I'm sorry to say, will not be played by Meryl Streep. And everyone says, boo. And then, but we're happy to let you know that Nicole Kidman is stepping in. and everyone goes, yay. And so the boo yay moment is, unfortunately, Katie moving and leaving the team. But the yay moment is that we're able to give Dee Saunders, who a couple of you, I think all of you probably have met. We're able to give her an opportunity to, in the short term, join the program administrators, take on some additional responsibility, grow her professional resume, and get a good, strong experience taking over some of the program administrator monitoring assignments with a heavy assist from Derek and myself and the rest of the team. while we do the recruitment. Yeah, thank you for that, Commissioner Freiberg. So
yay!
Please tell her how excited we are, really. That is great news.
I was going to ask you about her. That was on my question list to ask you guys about staffing and what's going on.
Yeah, so I can tell you more fully. That's one thing we've been able to do. We did just last week, the recruitment went out. So we're now hiring for 2 program administrators. We've been able to, I believe some of you, actually, maybe you have not had an opportunity yet to meet Becca. Becca is an intern with us in a graduate program at USC. Early on, we were able to move Becca into a higher level position with more hours. So between Dee stepping in, Michelle stepping in, Becca stepping up, you know, me in the acting manager capacity, Derek in the acting supervisor capacity, we're plugging a lot of holes. And we're doing the best we can. Everyone's pitching in. Folks are doing great, and I'm really appreciative to the team. And the recruitments are underway. But as you know, even on the fast track, these jobs, the hiring process at the city is slow. Probably won't be until June before we have more permanent staff. It's just how it is. But anyways, so I wanted to share that with you. And Commissioner Meltzer, sometime back you had asked for a list of the program monitors, who's monitoring what. That list is, you know, finally I can share it because all of these pieces have settled down. So I will get that to everybody and follow up to tonight's meeting, just so you know who's overseeing what for now, and that will change. So wanted to let you all know that. Commissioner Davis, this is for you. Adjournment motions can be made under items from the commission. That's how the city clerk has directed us. So that's pretty much what you're doing. And you can continue to do it in that fashion when it's your turn under items from commission to speak. If you have an adjournment motion, that is the time in which to do it. I think all of you know that if you ever want the city council to adjourn in the memory or honor of someone, you can make a request to the city council and they can do a more formal adjournment at their meeting, and the city clerk's office follows it up with an adjournment letter. So tying up some loose ends here, and wanted to be sure I reported back on.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. And then lastly, we'll know in the beginning of March for sure, but it looks like we'll all be going back to in-person starting in March. We're just waiting for official county directives in that regard, and then the city council will take it up at their meeting in March. And as soon as we know, we will report back to you. But I think you were all pretty much of the mindset that we were only going to be remote for January and February, and we would likely be back in March, and that's how it's looking. And I know that is also a bouillet moment of sorts, but there's pros and cons to both, and we'll do what the council determines. If we are back in person, we'll be in rooms 5 and 6, and as I said, we'll let people know. And that is it for me. Derek, I don't know if you have anything.
Yeah, I just have a couple things. So first is thanking the commission for having Healthcare in Action on the agenda today. There's always new things that I'm learning about them and new things that they are offering that I had no idea before and that we're also not paying for. You know, our contract with Healthcare in Action is just staff and indirect costs. So the operating of the van, the cell phone plans, all of that is paid for by other sources. So which is really great news that they're kind of using all of these sources of funding for the West Hollywood program. Next week on the 23rd is the Prep and Pep forum, or rather hearing, that's being organized by Community and Legislative Affairs and initiated by Councilmember Erickson. I hope some of you might be able to attend that forum and possibly give public comment. We're looking for testimonies from the community of individuals who've tried to access PEP and PrEP but couldn't, or also challenges, or any type of experience that she might have had accessing PEP and PrEP. We will take all of the information that we receive at that forum and hand it over to legislators in Sacramento. Another plus is that Jeffrey Rodriguez is going to be one of the panelists, in addition to Dr. Celius from the HIV Zero Initiative. Oh, there's my cat. And Ayako Miyashita from UCLA Law will also be talking about SB 159, which is the bill that allows pharmacists to prescribe PrEP and PEP. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any public comments? It's been quiet. It's been quiet.
Looks like no one has a hand raised. If anyone wants to speak for public comment, please use your raise hand feature right now. It looks like no one wants to speak right now, so you can continue.
Okay, thank you. So items from commissioners. So why don't we start with Commissioner Palmieri?
Thank you. I don't have much to say. I was really impressed with the meeting today as far as the presentation. Really excited. I went to LGAB's or LG, what is it? LGBTQ plus advisory board, which will be a commission soon. I went to the last meeting, which was the other night, and it was very, you know, I had done, I think, 11 years on there, and I've known about it for many years. It was sort of sad that it's going to be gone, but it's sort of exciting that there's going to be something new, and there'll be commissioners, and they'll be able to, you know, make policy or at least be heard. And that was the problem that I heard out. Each and every one of them was so frustrated that they felt as though no one on staff was paying attention to them and that they didn't really matter, and that they basically felt like they were trying to be pushed away. And you know, it made me feel really sad because I remember loving being on LGAB, that they felt that they weren't heard. I don't know, you know, whether it's true or not, and it's not my place to say anyway, but it is, I was very sad that 10 people left there not happy with their position, and actually very upset that they felt like they weren't heard, and each one of them had a different reason. But it was a little bit sad, a little bit bittersweet, but you know, I'm sure there are great new things to come. There's no guarantee that any of them will have a seat. I think they're going down to 7 seats, and I think it's a new application process. So they all know that it could be their last meeting. It's definitely Robert Gamboa's last meeting, my brother forever. He is going to be going on to bigger and better things, but he did put in 10 or 11 years of his own, and I'm really proud of him for that. And that's all I really have tonight. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Commissioner Borelli?
Hi. I wanted to thank Derek and Hernan, who are spearheading this PEP and PrEP forum next week. And we do hope that if you know folks who may have experienced some challenges or barriers, to send them our way on Thursday, the 23rd. There is a low cost or no cost internet service available now through the government through a company called Starry, S-T-A-R-R-Y, Starry. They've been coming to WHHE's low-income buildings in both Los Angeles and West Hollywood. And again, income qualified, they're either paying $15 a month or $0 per month, depending on what their income is. So I know they've been at our West Hollywood buildings. If this ever comes up, maybe there's opportunities. I think you can sign up yourself on their website. And then lastly, it looks like that cat of Derek's really wants to be involved. And I know we've got 2 open positions, so maybe Phil, I don't know. She wants to be the star, or they want to be the star. And I was looking up how to pronounce something in Russian for Michelle. I can only say spasiba for your presentation earlier. And I think it was Dobry Večer maybe, but I may be off a little bit.
Very good. Very good.
Happy Valentine's Day, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you. Commissioner Davis?
Just real quickly, I also want to echo the other commissioners in stating that the presentation was really a very good one. There's a lot of information there. There are some things I would like to see, but you need to have them have the time to build up the information that I would want, I guess. So they did a really good job with the materials they had. And I wasn't all that, I have to agree with Mr. Borelli. I tended not to be that enamored with this program. However, I've changed my mind, which I leave myself the ability to do quite often, because I'm quite often wrong. So the changing of the mind is good, and I think that the program looks very good. So I certainly hope it comes to, comes to get just bigger and bigger. And I do like the part where Derek says that there's things that we're not paying for that we're getting, which I've always liked. That's always nice. And just in case, I don't know if this is our last meeting, as my last meeting or whatever. However, it has been a real pleasure. And I certainly will.
It's not time to say goodbye.
I know, but I certainly would.
Okay.
I have no idea whether I'm going to be here again or not. So anyway, I won't say goodbye, but it has been a real pleasure. So in case I do find out that I'm not coming back, I'll be here next month to say that. All right. Does that make Barbara happy?
Thank you, Commissioner Davis. Commissioner Freiberg?
I just want to agree with everybody that that presentation was really impressive, and I'm really excited that we have them, because I mean, when we were doing the RFP process and it was just kind of like thrown at us, I was like, gee, hope it works. And now we kind of got a good idea of who they are, what they do, and we got to see that video of what they're actually doing on the street, and it's just really impressive. I'm so glad that staff knew to really put this in action. The other thing I wanted to ask was, Leslie, you wanted me to bring up visiting contracted partners during my item from the commission. And then I wonder, like, am I going to be here? You know, so I'm kind of like on the Stephen Davis tip over there where, you know, maybe we should hold off, you know, because I really wanted to start visiting some of the partners. And the other last thing I wanted to mention, and I know the city is on this, but keeping affordable housing a priority. It's really sad when studio apartments are about $2,500, $2,600. I mean, how does any kid out of school, you know, any young adult, you know, young professional really, I mean, this is a safe haven, as we know, for a lot of people, and they can't even move here now. And so I just want to reiterate that it should just stay a priority. And that is it. And thank you, Leslie, for the update on staff, because I was going to ask that. And I'm very excited about D.
Thank you. Commissioner Vice Chair Darvish.
Oh, great. I have this new laptop I can't figure out. Great job, Leslie and the team. Great presentation by Healthcare in Action. I was really impressed. And with all that they do, I'm sure there's more that they do that they didn't have time to share, but really impressive and exciting, as Chair Metzo mentioned, and all of you. I saw the excitement. I want to acknowledge Black History Month this month. Myself being an immigrant, as I've talked in the past, I've always think about those things and connect to people that, to engage and remind ourselves about our history and the country and what we have gone through and the people that we care about. I also wanted to say, to send positive thoughts to people in Turkey and Syria for what they've gone through. I think mentioned to some of you that every summer I go to Turkey. Is a connecting country for me. I don't go back to Iran. My family come out and we meet in Istanbul. It's sort of a neutral point for us. And I was there again last Labor Day, so I met a lot of great people, Turkish people, and such loving people and caring that just watching them on TV, what they've gone through, and the Syrian people too. And I'm sure we have many residents in West Hollywood that are from both of those backgrounds from those countries. So we should acknowledge them and send them, good thoughts about their family and safety, and pray that we won't have that earthquake here. I know that we've had history. I was here during Northridge earthquake, and this one definitely was a lot stronger and longer than Northridge. I can't imagine if that happens in LA. So maybe we should, at City Council, talk more about preparedness. I know that 2 minutes ago that was the topic, so I was glad to hear that. But anyhow, I just want to bring that forward, and I know all of you watched it on TV and feel bad about it, but it's just so sad. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I want to thank Leslie and Derek. I mean, the work that you are doing, the amount of work you're doing with a very small staff is really extraordinary. You are extraordinary. And I'm sure I speak for everybody when I say we really all appreciate that. And thank you. And Michelle, what about Das Vidanya?
You guys sound like you're native, just
okay, thank you. So if there is nothing else, we will adjourn. The Human Services Commission will adjourn to its next meeting scheduled for Tuesday, March 14th, 2023 at 6 p.m. at the Plummer Park Community Center, rooms 5 and 6. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. Have a good evening.
Thanks. Bye.
Recording stopped.
You can RSVP now at weho.org/art. Now, the thing about this is parking validation is provided for the Kings Road Park parking structure. Now, you're not going to say the whole diggle and jiggle and